Hello, back on stage, listening to our customers, listening to Ollie, and then I'm proudly wearing my T-shirt. It's very popular. There are not so many of those, so I only don't wear it too many times. So very nice. So what are we going to talk about? Ollie already talked about a lot of stuff that we have been delivering recently: content variant, semantic search, KIO upgrades, A/B testing. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. So I'm going to talk about my favorite subject, which is our KIO journey. Also, you know, with my T-shirt. Sometimes looking a little bit back on how did we start, because I remember, I think exactly 2 years ago, we presented KIO with the ideas that we have. Talk a little bit about that. But then we also, you know, AI has been risen. It's not only KIO that we see, we also see a huge shift in how we use applications, how we steer applications. I always use a simple example. If I see how I now work with PowerPoint, is I type in Claude and I say, I make some text, say make nice, you know, nicer. So that's how I now communicate with applications. And we see that also changing in Studio, right? So we have some ideas on that as well. And then, you know, we'll be showing, as you're used to with little demos, little prototypes, how we think, you know, the next half year, the next year will look like. So 2 years ago, we had KIO like this. Blue, green, not really popular. So we gave it a nice facelift. Now it looks a lot more fancy, KIO. But we presented KIO 2 years ago. And in the age of AI, we were also looking, okay, so what are we going to deliver in 2 years? And we did a guess, and we were pretty correct. So, of course, we had simple use cases like the SEO and the tagging, but the summarize, what could do, voice and tone. But then we also, as Ollie was showing, we added the analytics, semantic search, the content variants, right? Segmentation. So basically, every time we added something to Studio, every time we added something to Content Cloud, we also made sure KIO could access it. So KIO gets stronger every day. I remember in the beginning, we were still looking at, is KIO going to be a co-pilot, going to be an agent working next to you? Or is it, because at that point in time, we're still looking at fields and you complete fields with AI. We completely abandoned that idea after 3 months, and we really went for the agent mode, and that was a good choice to make. So really happy with that. We also had things like playbooks now, and if you look at Claude, or it's called skills, but we were faster with playbooks than Claude with skills. So what you will also see is in the future probably do some renaming towards more common names, but we were a little bit too fast there. What we also saw, of course, is that with every new version of KIO, it gets better. And why is that? Because all the LLMs behind get better, right? So I saw the presentation of our dear customer, then they had the November release, then they had the January release, and they're going to go for the May release. And every time KIO gets better. So that's really good. We also had a promise to make and keep KIO LLM independent. We still have that. You can also still install KIO on our service, but you can also run it on-premise. Still going there, and we will continue to do that. And what we also saw was that in the age of AI, it's very important that you quickly can get new updates, right? So we built KIO as a plugin, and that means that, and we saw it with the customer case, that every month, I think we deliver a new plugin. So every month you can get a KIO update without doing a major update of the platform. So that's something to be really proud of, and it really works well. But then, you know, we see the rise of AI, we see all the agents kicking in, you know, they assist us, they automate, you know, they orchestrate. So AI is getting more and more powerful. But what we also saw is a clear shift in how you use applications. So if you look at the traditional way of using applications, you know, it's Windows with tabs and forms, right? You need to know the platform vocabulary, the definitions. You have one click and you get one action. You have a pretty steep learning curve. It's also something we see in Studio. The feedback we get from Studio users, yeah, okay, in the beginning it can be a little bit complicated, but once you know it, it's really strong and powerful. So yeah, that's true. It's also something we try to fix in the presentation later on. So there's excellent user requests. But if you then see where we are going towards, It's going to be far more conversational interface, right? And an interface that you can just use English or whatever, German, whatever language. You can make spelling mistakes, it doesn't care. Only in the demo made a spelling mistake, it doesn't care. So that kind of stuff will happen. There will be one prompt for multiple outcomes. So the way we interact in applications will dramatically change over time. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to talk a little bit about our vision of KIO. Where do we think KIO can play a role? It's a difficult question sometimes to answer because the AI world is going so fast. We see, Claude, we see ChatGPT kicking in, doing agent orchestration. But I do think for KIO, we have a clear strategy and that we're working on. So what we see, first of all, with CoreMedia, we see CoreMedia Platform as a single source of truth, right? Your platform of record where you store your content, your campaigns, your data, website data. You can really store it in the experience platform that we have. Because with the AI, it always needs an area. It always needs some place where to go to where the single source of truth is. So that's for sure the CoreMedia Experience Platform. Then we also see that we see a platform where marketeers, editors, and AI agents work in parallel. So it will be a combination of AI agents doing stuff and humans doing stuff. That is for sure something we see. And then we also really feel that if you want to manage all of that, it can get pretty complicated, especially if you start creating a lot of content with agents or you're updating content. We need to store that. We need to have governance around that. And we think KIO can play an important role in managing the total platform with editors and AI agents working on that. And then, of course, also we see KIO as the primary UI UX. So everything will move to more chat-based UI UX. So this is also something Søren already shared. So where we see now, and also in Oli's demos, on the left bottom, you see, hey, we have Studio, and in Studio, there's KIO. We see it will turn around. So you have KIO, and in KIO, we will offer you a Studio. Of course, this is the long-term vision, right? So this is something we grow towards, but we will be showing some areas. And we're going to call this area KIO Studio. So let me show you a little bit in a little prototype, like how it will work, how we envision this, right? So, and we've been working on that with the team. So first of all, it starts in the old studio. So it's fully connected to the old studio, next to the old studio. You start it up, KIO Studio starts up. And in the middle, you have the big conversation area where you can have conversation with KIO. Down there, you have suggestions. You can look at the LLM, how it needs to respond. You have some additional actions over here. On the left side, you have the traditional conversation where you store your conversations. But then, and down there, you can ask your questions. But then also, you will have your agents that are running, automated agents that are doing stuff for you all the time, like meta descriptions or focal point. And here you have the skills, currently playbooks, that can do stuff with the agents. On the right side, you'll have your notifications, like you need to approve a landing page, or you do other actions that you have to approve. And on the right side in that window, you have generic quick actions that you can do. What you also see the big difference is once everything will be more preview based. So everything you do, you have a conversation with the AI, it will do stuff for you, and it will generate a preview, right? So everything will be preview based. So less editing yourself, more in preview. And that's what it does. So that's on a high level how it will look like. So what I will try to do is now show you a use case where we say, the other feedback we also got on Studio is that some customers say, hey, it's very good for expert users to do complicated things. But sometimes Studio is complicated to do simple things for novice users, right? So what we try to do with the new KIO Studio is also make an environment where novice users can do simple things, right? So that's also absolutely the goal to do this. What you see here is basically we have 3 people, 3 roles. We have Mark, who's the brand director. He sets the rules, the brand voice, approves templates, sets that all up. Then we have Katie. She runs the automated agents and implements those. And then we have Sophia, she's the Novice Junior Content Manager, and she will create a landing page. And what we learn, I think everybody learns in the world now with AI, in order to be successful with AI, you need to create the context, you need to create a lot of governance, and once you have that, AI can excel. If you don't have that, you can go hallucinate, go all the way. So creating this governance is something that Mark will do. I will take you through how Mark will create the governance, and then for Sophia later on to be successful. So Mark opens KIO Studio and starts, looking to govern the governance is down there. And in the governance, you can, describe the brand essence. You can describe the channels. Are you going to use it on the website, social media, campaigns? You can set quality rules, like, there's rules, or every output must comply to this. If it fails, then you reject, revise. Visual identity, what kind of colors do you want to use? What kind of fonts do you want to use? All this kind of stuff you can put in the governance. You can create templates, and these are then the approved templates that later on Sophia can use. You can give KIO some additional rules, how KIO should interact with you, what kind of tone and communication. Of course, you can also use KIO to improve your brand terminology, right? So you can just ask it, hey, can you improve it? And then you can copy that into the brand essence piece. So every time we create documents, every time we do something, it will use this governance in order to improve what you are building. Then the next part is that we have agents. So there will be agents doing things on the background. And you can set up these agents yourself. For example, every time you create a document, it automatically updates the SEO information, or it automatically sets the focal point for images, right? So these agents will be there on the background. In this case, Katie, she's responsible. She sets up the agents and the skills and triggers. So how could that look like? So the agents are also on the left side of the screen. So they're over there. So it's different kind of agents, like add meta descriptions, improve images for mobile. All these agents are running there on the left. So if you look at one agent, like add meta descriptions, then there's the agent. You can tell it when it runs, the triggers, on when to run, when it shouldn't run, skipped, what kind of rules. And you can also add skills to it, like a tone checker, duplicate checker, change logger, all those kind of skills you can add to the agents. Every time it executes, it also uses these skills. And then also you can see, okay, what are the outcomes of the agent? What has the agent been doing? In this case, it's going to talk about a green handbag and create meta description, create keywords. That's what the skill has been doing. The agent has been doing. Yeah. So basically, what we're doing is setting up the governance, setting up the automated agents, so that Sophia, in an easy way, can do her job without knowing the full platform. So here's Sophia. She wants to create a landing page with KIO Studio, and it can look like this. Right, so she goes to the middle. She asks, okay, create a landing page for the spring campaign in English for the UK. You ask it. So then KIO starts interacting with you. It starts asking questions, like is it for returning customers or for new visitors? Starts reasoning. You can select a predefined template that Mark predefined. So Sophia can just choose the template that's there. Again, you get a question, is there a hero product? You can say yes or no. Do you have new images? She says yes, so please upload these images. All right, so you get the interaction between KIO and Sophia to guide her through what she needs to do. What's the goal, right? What's the main action? You want to browse the full collection. KIO starts reasoning. And then says ready to build. Okay, let's go. And then it creates. It immediately moves the conversation to the left, but in the middle, you get what it has created. So in the middle, you see the preview. As said, so it's not about, it's really like, okay, KIO has created it, has taken away all the complexity, and this is what has been created by KIO. Then you can also start interacting with it. For example, you say this element in full bloom, you say suggest, a new title. And then you see on the left side, it will come up with different kind of titles. And then you can go for the last one, Spring Reimagined, and then it updates Spring Reimagined. And then you can do, for example, a quality check based on all the governance that you've put in, and it starts checking the quality. Yeah, and then says, okay, you want to do anything else? You say, yes. You can schedule to publish it, I think, for next Thursday. Yeah. So if you see the Ollie's demo previously, it basically does the same, creating a landing page. There's a lot of structure in the UI. There's a lot of, things going on. Here you get a conversation on the left side. You get preview on the right side with the conversation of the AI. It continuously updates. It uses the same platform. So if you would open this landing page in the studio, it will show in the right way. But KIO is able to take away all the complexity and have a simple interaction model like this. We have a final little movie where Katie, receives a notification, and then she needs to approve something, and she needs to approve the landing page. So when you're working in the KIO Studio, you will see on the right top, for example, there's your notifications, stuff you need to do. If you click on it, it will automatically show again in the preview mode, hey, this is what Sophia has created. Do you agree? Or you want to change something? Yeah, so I think you want to add a segment, customer segment, frequent buyer segment. You add it, KIO knows the segment, and it adds the segment to the page. And then you can again say, okay, schedule it for publishing. Yeah. So that's the demo of what we want to show. So basically, as you see, we have the current studio with all the features in there. KIO works in there and will continue to work in there. But we also feel, okay, we have an opportunity now at CoreMedia with the change of the UI UX, with the prompting KIO. We have an opportunity to make it a very simple user interface. I'm also convinced that in 2 years' time from now, many applications will have moved in this kind of direction. And yeah, so that's what we're also going to do. So we're going to work on this. We're going to start in a couple of months working on this. What we're going to start off with is the new conversation UI, is the interface as we've shown. We're going to start with simple use cases. So the idea is to have simple use cases for novice users, not the most complicated use cases for experts, because that's already very strongly covered by the current studio. That's what we start with, some simple batch use cases where agents can do things on the background. And of course, strong governance and auditability. The goal is to have a first release of this by the end of the year. And then we're going to continue. Because there's a lot of stuff. Can you imagine what you can do, for example, with insights and analytics to just have AI generate that on the fly? Hyper-personalization rules, multi-agents working together, complex use cases. And then we can also look at, okay, what's the business goals versus user intent. So there's a lot of possibilities with this application. Right? As said, we're going to start with the more simple things, and I hope to show you in the next Connect a working product for all of you. Thank you.